live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and on today's episode of 2026 Offseason Grades, we go to the AFC West, back to the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, someone in my comments has been asking me when this episode has been happening. Well, this is the day. So, without further ado, let's get to the Chiefs offseason. I'm going to try my very best not to start trolling right now. I will save my talking for the season because, particularly preseason, I'm going to save it. So, this is an off-season grades analysis. I'm going to go over their offseason, my thoughts. I believe I gave them a fair grade, but I'm going to wait till the end of the show to give my grade out. But let's go over the Chiefs offseason. So, really down year last year. We don't have to go down that road. You guys will tell me the same thing on to 2026 for the Chief bandwagons that are listening. The big move, coaching-wise, was Matt Nagy's out. Eric Bienemy back as offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Can't say I'm shocked. I actually think you upgraded there. Because Matt Nagy, for the longest time, I thought he was the worst offensive coordinator in the league for majority of the time with the Chiefs last season, and the Bears, he was awful at development. Now, he is now on a team we have yet to cover, which we'll be covering very shortly in the series. Out Matt Nagy goes, Eric Bienemy comes in. Now, they upgraded offensive coordinator, in my opinion. They still got Spags on defense, and Andy Reid's still there. Let's go to the player signings. Free agency first. The biggest signing in free agency was Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III from the Seahawks. Out goes Isaiah Pacheco. In Kenneth Walker goes in this lineup. Kind of a wash. Walker's better than Pacheco, yes. But age-wise, it's almost a wash. Maybe Walker's a little older, but he is better as far as being a more patient runner. That I'm not going to compare him to Le'Veon Bell in the way his patience is for rushing lanes, but he's got a Le'Veon Bell running style where he's patient and then bursts through the hole a lot in the run game. But this is a upgraded running back. As much as I don't want to say it is, but it is an upgraded running back because Walker provides more than Pacheco did. Now, Justin Fields, they got as a backup quarterback from the Jets in a trade. So, this is one of the smart signings of the offseason because if there's any quarterback that can save his career, it could be Justin Fields with Andy Reid as a backup to get his career back on track. I feel like he was ruined so bad by Matt Nagy and Matt Eberflus. Coincidentally, both of those Bears head coaches were named Matt. Thought that was funny. But he was ruined by those guys. And then Mike Tomlin, I thought he did really good for the Steelers when he filled in. Now you got a chance to maybe prove that you could start for a couple teams in preseason if you show off well. And Justin Fields as a backup is better than most backup options in the league. So, at least he's got experience. He just needs to be developed, and Andy Reid's the perfect guy to develop Justin Fields in case Mahomes gets hurt again. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but maybe down the road. Again, I don't think they're going to view him as a long-term backup, but then again, they had Carson Wentz for a little bit, so who knows. Their draft. I like their draft. Regardless of what the bandwagon fans say, and I saw them talk a lot of shit on Twitter this offseason. A lot of shit where they hated on it. And I'm looking, and let me give you guys names on their draft class, okay? These were two of these guys I wanted. Really, one of them, they got one of my favorite players in the draft, and I'm like, fuck. First one is Mansour Delane at 8th overall. And mind you, you got rid of Trent McDuffie in a trade for the Rams for an additional first-round pick, which is the next guy we'll go over. You got younger at corner. Mansour Delane, why do I think he's the perfect fit for Spags' scheme as a corner? He's physical. He's fast. He can play man coverage. Like, I don't get the hate with this pick, truthfully. I don't. Because you got a guy that, in my opinion, fits Spagnuolo's scheme as a corner perfectly. I don't know why. I'm like, you guys are hating on Mansour Delane pick? I'm thinking in my head, great. Spags got his corner that he wanted. I actually like the pick a lot. Second first-round pick you got, this one from the Trent McDuffie trade. Peter Woods. This guy was a fucking projected top 5, top 10 pick before the bad year that Clemson had last year. You got your Chris Jones replacement. I will say, when I was here in the draft, he's got issues as far as motor issues as far as him playing hard every snap. There's some bad effort plays he showed on film last year. And again, this dude was really good before last year. I don't know why he fell so late in the first round. I'm like, how the hell did they get him? To me, this is another great first-round pick they got. And how they got him at 29th? I don't even get it. I'm like, wow. But, again, this is another Chris Jones replacement. So Chris Jones is not going to be long in the defensive tackle plans. And Peter Woods, depending on how well he develops, another pick for Spags defense. They got their Chris Jones replacement. This is the guy they got next, who I wanted so bad at edge rusher for the Patriots. I did want him so bad. They got R. Mason Thomas, the edge rusher from Oklahoma. I wanted R. Mason Thomas. I'm like, yes. I'm like, he's going to be there in round 2. And I'm like, no, once I seen who we went to, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This guy, he's one of my favorite players in the draft. I'm like, no way he goes to the Chiefs. He's got speed. He's got a really good variety of moves. He plays with high motor. I'm like, no, man, like they got him now. So now you loaded up your first 4 picks of this draft on defense, and I didn't even get to the safety, Jaden Kennedy, the 4th rounder from Oregon, the safety. That's a nice little piece depth-wise in the secondary. I'm going, man. They loaded up Spags with young pieces on defense. And I'm going to get to where the identity of this Chiefs team is going to be on both ends of the ball very soon. But I love their first 3 picks in the draft. And really, I could argue 4, but I don't get the hate from the bandwagons at all in the draft. I actually think you did good. And it pains me to say this as a Patriot fan saying this, okay? Emmett Johnson, the running back in the 5th round from Nebraska, that's a good filler pick. He was good. Cyrus Allen, who I've heard a lot of people on Chiefs Twitter talking about from Cincinnati. He got hurt in camp. That sucks. I get why they were playing special teams for him, but let's relax. He was not going to overtake Worthy or Rashee Rice in the depth chart. Let's relax there, okay? And then Garrett Nussmeier as a 3rd quarterback from LSU, who was a predicted Heisman Trophy candidate last year around this time. And it did not work well. So, again, this draft room, again, I thought they had a really good draft class. I don't know where the hate's coming from, but then again, if you want to go strictly as receiver early in the draft, I'm not going to fault you, but I actually think these guys filled better of the needs long-term for this team, and it sucks to say. Because some of these guys I really liked, and I wish the Patriots got, but they didn't. But these are great picks. Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas, Mansour Delane, Jaden Kennedy. I like the Emmett Johnson pick. I said Emmett Thomas accidentally because I'm thinking of the corner from the Chiefs back in the day. Emmett Johnson from Nebraska, the running back I like. Nussmeier's the third quarterback, and then Cyrus Allen, depth piece. But he had been flashing camp before injuries. Let's go to a couple of the losses. So they got rid of Mike Dana. They got rid of Jawan Taylor, who was a penalty machine at right tackle. So he's gone. Leo Chenal, gone from linebacker spot. Talked about Trent McDuffie. Justin Watson went to the Rams. Brian Cook at safety went to the Bengals. They did add one of my favorite Patriots last year, Kyrus Tonga. I called him Tonga Tank on the show last year because he was a defensive tackle playing fullback. That was our Fridge Perry for a joke last year. And now this fucker's on. No, man. Like, it sucks, man. But you know what? They got good. They did a good job filling some needs. So defensive tackle, they have really nice depth there. Now, a lot of these next comments that I wrote down are more for the roster outlook, but they did lose some depth in the secondary, which I'll talk about more when we get to that spot. And then right tackle, again, we'll go over it based on some of the roster movement that they have. But overall, like, I thought they did a really good damn job with the draft. I thought free agency, they did solid moves. Wasn't great, but there's still holes in this roster, which we're about to get into right now. Okay? Now, I will say this. I am reading that we are expecting Mahomes to play game one, and that I've seen some footage of him in training camp where he does look a little limpy at times. He does look limping a little bit, and I think it's probably because he's wearing a knee brace. If I had to guess in camp, I don't know the specifics. I'm just going by eye test. But this offense, let's be 1,000% real for this season, okay? This is where you're going to see a shift in the Chiefs' offense. This is not going to be 2018 to 2022 where they're going to throw the ball down the field a lot. They're going to be pass heavy. No. This is going to be like Andy Reid's older teams in Philly, where they were a run-heavy team, where back then, and the Eagles fans that followed Andy Reid back in those early to mid-2000 teams know exactly where I'm going with this. They had really good running backs. Deuce Staley, Brian Westbrook, okay? They're going to be a run-first team. That's why they got Kenneth Walker, okay? Their receiver depth isn't great. They want to take pressure off Mahomes by not letting him throw. They want to ease him back to full speed 100%. I look at this offensive line and Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, though, the strength, because those guys have been Pro Bowlers, all pros. Their tackles are still weak. Left guard is a little bit shaky. But they're going to be a run-heavy team first. Because I think they want to make sure that Mahomes does not get blitzed and pressured a lot. And they put him in more harm's way to re-aggravate an injury to his knee. Okay? So I think you're going to see a shift of a run-first team, relying a lot on Kenneth Walker, going behind the all-pro center and right guard that they have. The tackles are not strong, okay? Kelsey's getting older. Their receivers, to me, I know I bashed them the last couple of years. I still don't think this room is all that great. To me, Rashee Rice has flashes where he can be a number one receiver. Xavier Worthy is a 2, but he's the guy that takes all the attention on the safeties because of his blazing speed. Tyquan Thornton, he's okay. He had a couple plays last year where he did get open, but he didn't show a lot. Jalen Royals, I love the pick last year. He didn't really play as much. Cyrus Allen got hurt in training camp. I don't know the extent of what's going on. In fact, we're going to look right now. Let me see what the word is on the injury real quick, if they can provide me one here. But I do remember he had an injury that he got in camp, and now it's not showing. But it must be not severe yet. So he's on track to play. But the depth of receiver is not great. Okay? And this is where you're going to see maybe an average to slightly above average offense as far as they're going to be more balanced, I think. But more run first if I had to predict. So expect that. This offensive line, though, Josh Simmons, Jalen Moore, they're decent. Really, Jalen Moore is a good right tackle. Josh Simmons, the verdict's still out on him. I don't know if he can be a really good left tackle. I don't know. Okay? Kingsley Suamatai, I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Suamatai, I hope I said that right. From BYU last year. Okay, he's moving to left guard. I don't know about this offensive line being elite like they've been for the last 6-7 years. I don't think that's going to be the case. And last year, they missed Joe Thuney badly at left guard. And to an extent, they still do. Now, let's move on to the defense, where this is going to be like a run and play defense type of team. Andy Reid knows we might have to go back to old school building this team while Mahomes is trying to nurse back from that injury and be 100%. This defensive line is good. I don't think they have the best depth, though. Okay? The last Chiefs Super Bowl teams, they've had depth along the defensive line, and it was better than what this group is. Like Karlaftis, Chris Jones, Kairos Tonga, and then they have Felix Kide Uzoma. I can't even pronounce that last name. But R. Mason Thomas is in there. Rotation Peter Woods is second-string defensive tackle. Like, they have guys that can be really damn good players. How well they get integrated in Spags' defense is the whole thing. I just don't think they're as deep as they used to be. But they got guys that can make plays on this defensive line. Linebacker group is okay. Drew Tranquil, he's been good for them the last couple of years. Nick Bolton had a good 2022 year, maybe 23 was good. The last 2 years, not as much. Cole Christensen, definitely the weak link in the linebacker side of things, okay? And then Wesley Basante is like a third-string linebacker from Miami. I just recognize him from college football names, okay? This secondary, to me, is where they're going to be tested. And this is where I think you're going to see teams attack them a little bit better. And that's probably what Spags wants, because he likes to put his corners on islands. L'Jarius Sneed is back from the Titans. Cheap contract, so he knows Spags' defense. So he's your cornerback one. You have Mansour Delane as your two. Then you have Noah Williams and Kader Kohu at nickel, that corner 3, corner 4. Jaden Hicks as a backup safety, with Christian Fulton being a backup corner. Okay, Jaden Kennedy from Oregon, he's up there too. Kyer Elam, I forgot about him from the Bills. So there's some pieces at corner, and then Shamari Connor, Alohi Gilman at the starting safety spot, and then that's where Jaden Hicks is the backup safety. And Wakba, this is, I would say, their weakest group overall, because Sneed has not been the same since he left Kansas City. He's not been the same. Delane is a rookie. They're going to test him for sure. Their safety group, Gilman and Connor, they're going to be tested. This is probably their weakest depth group starting. This is not a good safety group. So they're going to be good against the run. They're going to get pressure on the quarterback depending on how well Karlaftis, R. Mason Thomas, Chris Jones, and Peter Woods can get sacks. Peter Woods might be more of a run defender. Chris Jones will still be a pass rusher, just not as great as he's been in the past. But R. Mason Thomas, Karlaftis, those guys are going to be guys that are going to be going to get the quarterback. And then other blitzes, Spags will mix in. So I think this will be a good defense in sacks. There'll be a good defense defending the run. Pass yards, they might be average to below average a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to be bottom third, but they're going to be bottom half of that. I would say somewhere between 16 and 22 as far as pass yards allowed. I think teams are going to test that back end and try to get some plays on them. And they're well aware of L'Jarius Sneed not looking good with the Titans. Delane, the scouts that did corners, will look at what he doesn't do well. This is what coaches will do. Okay, and their safety group, they're going to test those safeties. So I think this is going to be a slightly below average passing yards defense, but they'll get to the quarterback. They'll stop the run. That's where I think they'll be good. But this team's identity is going to be run, play defense. Now, as far as the concerns on this Chiefs team heading into this year, I mentioned I'm not sold in this receiver room. I don't like their depth. I think they're going to be average. You'll see, like I said, you'll see a ground and pound relying on the run game to protect Mahomes till he's get healthy. Kelsey's getting older, and this offensive line I talked about. I just think Kelsey, again, he's got a good year or two left. It's really when he chooses to walk away, and I don't think it's going to be after this year. So, again, this is still a team that playoff caliber. Will they get in? Depends how the rest of the AFC shakes out. Let's go to their schedule. Starting off Monday night at home against Denver in Arrowhead. I already said it when I did the Broncos one. I'm giving the Chiefs to win week 1. Home for the Colts on a Sunday night. They don't even leave Arrowhead till week 3. They beat the Colts 2-0. At Miami, at Las Vegas the next 2 weeks. They beat Miami handily. Miami's one of the worst teams in football. Vegas is getting better. I don't think they're good enough. This game might be closer than people will say it's going to be. I say they go 4-0 into the bye week. First game off the bye will be home for the Chargers. They're going to split, but they're going to win this game at home. 5-0. At Seattle on a Sunday night. The weekend before Halloween. That's your first loss. 5-1. At Denver on November 1st. Back-to-back. 5-2. Home for the Jets. Please. You win against the Jets. In Atlanta. Mind you, this game was close 2 years ago. And Atlanta, I said it when I just did the Falcons show. They know how to pull upsets last year. And they snuck them on Buffalo and the Rams. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Chiefs. Don't be surprised if this is close. I still have them winning. So I'm going to say 7-2. Cardinals, worst team in football this year. You can book it. 8-2. At the Bills, Thanksgiving night. Here comes the gauntlet. Loss. At the Rams, the Thursday after. Loss. 8-4. At the Bengals, 4-25. Remember the last time they played in Cincinnati? They lost. 8-5. Monday night against the Patriots. Now, I've said on the Patriots episode, I'm giving the Chiefs a win. Because they're gonna get a win somewhere during this losing streak. As bad as I would love to beat that team, I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna say they beat the Patriots, go to 9-5. Home for the Niners, win. Niners are not that good this year, 10-5. At the Chargers, loss. Home for the Raiders to end the year, I think they win. So I've got them at 11-6, okay? And that is going to be, to me, the record that gets in the playoffs. Or will be fighting for the playoffs, depending on which team they have to fight with. But they're going to be in playoff contention, I believe. They'll be a wild card team. I don't think they win the division. Okay, but they're going to have a shot at it. But I think they'll end up being a wild card. Which leads me to my offseason grade. I'm going with a C+. Because they did upgrade at running back. They had a really nice draft class, despite what their fan base has been complaining about. I don't love this receiver depth room at all. And that's been that way for the last 3 years, I would say. Their secondary is their weakest link on defense. They're going to get tested there. I don't like the safety room. I think they're missing that one linebacker that is a good role player for Spags defense. And that's where that loss of Leo Chenal might hurt a little bit, okay? I do think that this team didn't move the needle where I go, okay, they had a great offseason. They had a solid one where, like, okay, like, they made enough moves to be better than they were last year. But they didn't have a transformative offseason like other teams that I will be grading down the road that had really good offseasons. Some that I've already graded. So I'm sitting at a C+ for the Chiefs. And I think that's a fair grade. If you bandwagons disagree, that's fine. If the Chiefs fans disagree, that's fine. I've heard my fair share of this whole series. But again, I go with my judgment on what I see. Good offseason. They're improved. I mean, probably a little above average, but not great. Not even very good, but just decent. They made some moves, but a C+ is fine for me. I think that's a fair grade. If we're being honest, C+ is fair grade for them. So that is today's episode of 2026 offseason grades. The Chiefs episode is down. We have one more in the AFC West left to go. We'll get to that later. But thank you so much for watching Lounge Time. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that way you guys can get all the latest content. We are getting very close to the preseason show where I will give my playoff teams, my Super Bowl winner, and prediction. You do not want to miss that. That's going to be late at the end of this month, at the end of this series. We'll have a full episode on that. Late August, you don't want to miss out on that. You can also follow me at LoungeTimePod on X. Yes, I've been tweeting recently. A couple of tweets today. I will be watching Patriots preseason. So yes, I'll be tweeting during the games when I can watch them. But if you have a question for the show, tweet at me and I'll answer it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Lounge Time where we continue more 2026 offseason grades.